Take me out to California. Take me out to California.
Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. My name's Holly. I am a speaker, a vlogger, a self-development coach, a mom of 2 girls and the founder of the Happy Me project, and all links to that you can find below this video. Today's topic of conversation is how to trust that you can make a decision, how to trust your judgment, how to acknowledge what makes you feel good and what makes you feel bad, and essentially trusting yourself. That's what it's about. So I did this talk today in on a live session in my Facebook group. So there is a group called the Happy Me Project Facebook group, again links below for that, and I am showing up daily, weekdays 10 a.m. every single day. I'm showing up on there and we do a live session where we talk about the stuff that I'm going to share with you now, but there is a space for you to ask questions, for you to share your experience, and also be part of a community which has been a really great support when I'm making this video for future people. This is in lockdown in the UK, so the coronavirus is happening, and it's been a really good support for people to be in that space. So feel free to join that. It's a private group, but I will open the doors to you all. And this is a topic that we were discussing today. Now, what sparked the topic for me is that here in the UK right now, we have gone into a new stage during this pandemic where it is the message from our government is no longer stay at home. It is now stay alert. And nobody knows what that means because it's a virus. It's a virus that we can't see. So stay alert. Seems like a very confusing message. And we've found ourselves in a position where we can now have tradesmen in our houses. So we can have a plumber or I was going to say carpenter, which made it sound very oldie world. You can have a carpenter back in, or chimney sweep, and they can come in the house, but we can't see our family. So it's such a weird space, and what it's done, I feel, has put people into a grey area space where we were very clear on what decisions we should be making. Before that, it was stay at home. The message was clear. Keep away from people. We're going to ride this storm. We're going to ride this out. We need to keep away from people to stop the spread. Clear message. We could make decisions very easily based on that. But now it's been slackened slightly and we have to stay alert, whatever the hell that means. Now it has sent us into a bit of a tailspin of, oh, but should I do that? Should I be doing that? Is that the right decision? And we're having to make those decisions essentially on our own without really a strong guidance from our political figures. And I'm sure that's the case in varying degrees across the world right now. And largely we always have to make, even with stringent lockdown rules, we still have to make that decision. For some people, they had to be really strict on lockdown, couldn't even go out. For others, I've seen a couple of people where their families have been split, so they've been 2-parent families but in different homes, and they've made the decision to either lock down together, which is a weird space for them if they're not a couple, or that they just go for it. The kid does move from one house to the next, but both houses are isolated. But equally, we've still had to make lots of decisions. But it has meant that right now, people are feeling this sense of no man's land where they suddenly feel guilty for their decisions, or should I be doing that? And we fall right into this trap of the shoulds. Now, forget lockdown, because it doesn't matter when you're watching this. The likelihood is that many of you have found making decisions for yourself a challenge regardless. I'm going to hazard a guess that many of you watching this are people pleasers. Pop a little message in the comments below, a little hand up like, hey girl, if you are a people pleaser and you feel like you make decisions based on what other people need from you, what they need you to be, who they need you to be. And you might have done this for a long time. And what happens when we do this for such a long time is we forget what we like. We forget what makes us feel good. We are so used to making those decisions for other people that we've just zoned out of what feels good to us. Now, your body and your brain does actually know underneath the surface what feels good to you and what you need. And what will happen is you will squash down all of those feelings, all of those emotions, all of those moments when your body and your mind went, no, but you said yes with your mouth. when you squash all of that stuff down, it doesn't just go nowhere, it goes internal, it goes inside. You brush it, it's like the little brusher under the carpet, and it does go somewhere, because what it does is eventually, when you keep saying yes when you mean no, and you keep putting other people's first and you last, is that eventually you feel rubbish and you feel overwhelmed and you feel burnt out and you don't know who you are, and you say things, and I hear this off clients of mine, so I work one-on-one with people as well, and I hear it a lot, or I hear it in my online community as well. I feel lost, I feel overwhelmed, I'm just exhausted and I don't know who I am. And that's because for such a long time you've just put that to one side. You aren't important, you aren't enough. In fact, I did a post on my Instagram today, and it was entitled something like give yourself the posh cups, right? Very British of me. I like a cup of tea, and I don't know if it's necessary, it might be a bit of a working class thing, but in working class households particularly, you have your normal stuff, you have your that's my phone buzzing off the hook there, you have your normal cutlery and your plates and your cups and your coffee cups and your tea cups and whatever, and then you have the posh cups, and the posh cups come out when people come round, because you don't want them to judge you and think that you've got horrible cups and mugs, right? You don't want that judgment, so they keep the posh cups, and you would always have your parents or your grandparents say, don't use them, they're the posh cups, they're for best, right? Now, what I taught myself, and this was quite a few years ago now, because I recognize that every time I put other people first before me, always, and I'm not saying don't be a decent person, don't be helpful and good and all of that stuff. I know you are, you're doing that regardless, you got that down. But this is about also not putting yourself to the side. So what I realized, that every time I didn't give myself the thing that I wanted, or I, gave my kids the treats but didn't give myself it, or I didn't do something that felt good to me because it might impact somebody else, and didn't give myself the posh cup, every time I kept that for other people, I was telling myself that I wasn't enough. So I made a decision, and it seems so silly that it's just the cup thing, right? But it's my visual reminder, it's my everyday reminder that I have posh cups that I use for me every single day. I've got gold cups, I've got ornate ones, they have little, I've got my little teapots and my tea sets, and I like those cups. They make me feel good. I like them. I'm a poppet. I'm a little poppet, English poppet, who likes to just have my cups of tea and my biscuit, and it makes me feel all posh and stuff, right? And I like it. And now I give myself the posh cup, because I think I deserve the posh cup, and I think you deserve the posh cup. You watching this, I know you've got some version of a posh cup, things that you won't let yourself have until you do this. Even if it's as simple as you don't get dressed up unless it's for other people, unless you're going to see other people, but you've stopped dressing up, doing your hair, putting on your nice outfit, having a wash, because you're not going to see people. And definitely in lockdown, that is something that's coming up for people, not getting dressed all throughout the day. All right, that's nice now and then. It's nice to have a day where you just sloth around in your PJs. No problem with that. But if it's every day, it's probably not because of that. It's probably because you don't value yourself enough to get ready and to put some clothes on and to feel good. And whatever that feels like, it doesn't have to be about dolling up, but just putting some fresh clothes on might be you saying, I'm enough, I'm worthy, I deserve that. And we often don't make these decisions for ourselves, whether it's what jobs we want, what relationships we have, who we love is a big thing. People go for years not admitting their sexuality. That's such a huge different conversation, but it's not really, because what it is saying I'm not valuable enough to have this, to be who I am, to be free, to be myself. And we see people, we had Philip Schofield here, a very popular presenter in the UK, come out as being gay recently, and regardless of whether it was a shock to anybody, I don't know, I'm sure it was a shock to some people, and he kept that secret, he kept that part of himself aside, because for whatever reason he felt that if he showed up as himself, then that would impact other people, that wouldn't be good, that would impact his life in a negative way. And thankfully he's recognized that that's not the case, and he's freed himself from that restriction. But all of us make those decisions every day, we big or small decisions, but we forget to tune in and ask ourselves what we really want. So this is my question, this is the things I want to put to you today. These are little questions that you can ask yourself. And these questions are this: when you have a decision to make, when you think, right, I've got to make this decision, but, and then your brain kicks in, your brain goes, but if you make that decision, everybody's going to hate you, and you're going to be pushed out of the group, and you're going to impact other people, and they're not going to be able to cope, or whatever story is in your head right now. I want you to ask yourself this: what would I do if that decision could be made with no shame? What if there was no shame? What would I do if there was no judgment? What would I do if no one cared what I did? What would I do if no one was looking? Okay, now I reckon that when you tune in, you have a light bulb moment, where you go, actually, if no one was looking and no one could see and there was no judgment, this is a very clear decision that I would make. I had that decision, I've probably spoken about on this channel before, I just remember it so clearly when I was in a long-term relationship that had finished. In reality, we were still together, you know, people knew us as a couple, but the relationship was no longer alive. And I met who then became my husband, and we had this instant connection. And I remember sitting in a space where I sat with myself and I tuned in. I did exactly what I'm asking you guys to do, and I asked myself, what would you do if nobody was looking, if nobody cared? What would you do if you didn't have a house and a mortgage and a dog, and it would hurt people's feelings? What would you do? And when I tuned in, the voice said, you'd break up with him because you're not right together, and this new relationship's creating an excitement and a feeling of it could be good. And so I got brave in that moment, and I said, okay, then I have to make that decision because that's the right decision, that's right for me in my heart. So what will happen for you is you have to learn to retrain your mind to notice that feeling, because what will happen is you might have, let's say you go, right, I want to do, I'd love to start a salsa class. I don't know why I always bring up salsa, and I've not ever done salsa, I don't think. Anyway, you get this feeling, you think, I'd like to do a salsa class. If you leave that thought for too long, what's going to happen? So initially, your body, you get a physical feeling of excitement, maybe a flutter in your stomach, or a hope, or a hopeful feeling, or that might feel nice, or that could be cool. You have that thought, that moment, that feeling. Then in comes the negative thoughts and the fear and the logic and the, I don't know, what people think of me. What if I'm not very good? What if you fail? What if, right? All of that comes swirling into your mind. And then you squeeze down the thought and you move on with your life and you don't do salsa. Perhaps that can happen, right? So what we need to do is make sure that we are tuning in enough so we hear, that felt good, that was exciting, or whatever it is, good or bad feeling, good or bad acknowledgement of what's going on. When we tune in and we hear, I shouldn't be in that relationship anymore, or I should do a salsa class, that'd be really fun, I'd feel good. I should go to a counsellor right now, it's what I need. Whatever it is, okay? You tune in, you hear the voice, you hear what you need, you feel it physically probably as well in some capacity. Then I want you to do the Mel Robbins technique. Mel Robbins has a book called The 5-Second Rule. I talk about it all the time because it's simple. I like basic and things that don't make us have to think too much. And the reason she created this was for exactly the same reason, but she did some studies on how our brains work, and the studies showed that if we give ourselves more than 5 seconds to just mull over something, what will happen is we let in the voice of doom, the what ifs, the what if I did that and everybody hated me, and fear, and what if I fail, and all of that. And so what she gets you to do is to count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then do something. Okay, you have the feeling inside of that feels like it could be quite exciting. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, book the salsa class. Have a serious conversation with your partner about where the relationship's going. Make decisions, okay? Those decisions can be made much easier when you tune in with yourself and you recognize that your opinion is valid. Your opinion is valid. Your feelings are valid. Stop squashing them down because you're an important person, and you don't get away with the squashing down for too long. Overwhelm, burnout, feeling sad, all of those things will kick in if you keep doing it, and I don't want that for you. So set yourself some reasonable, realistic little goals for to practice. And Start practicing with small decisions. I did something in my group the other day where we were talking about being good to other people, essentially, so quite the opposite of necessarily what we're talking about now, but it was about feeling good by being nice to people. And I set my group a task of creating an Amazon wish list. If you don't know what that is, you go onto Amazon, you create a list of things that you would like, obviously material stuff, and other people can buy you those things. I think it was essentially created for like weddings and stuff, but you can do that regardless. So in the group, I got people to create a wish list, and the idea was that people could buy people things that might feel nice, not expensive stuff, books and pens and notepads and things like that, so nothing majorly expensive, but that it felt good to give to somebody else, and then the other person felt nice that a stranger, because essentially people are strangers in the group largely, had given them a gift for no reason other than it was a nice thing to do. So it was a nice spiral effect of good, lovely kindness, right? But the other side of it was that I wanted people to acknowledge what made them feel good, without guilt, without judgment on themselves. Now, I appreciate that is a very materialistic example, but it doesn't matter what it is, whether you need more sleep, whether you need to eat better, whether you need, time off from your children. I don't know what it is, right? Whatever you need right now, you know what that is when you tune in, but you have to stop avoiding and distracting from the feelings of discomfort or the feelings of happiness when something makes you feel good. So my challenge for you today is this. I want you to write down 10 things that make you feel happy, and think about what sounds make you feel happy. Maybe it's music, maybe it's the sound of your children laughing and joking together, maybe it's the birds tweeting. What tastes do you like? What food do you like? What smells feel good? We've got a lovely blossom tree on our street, and every time I go past it, it makes me feel happy. Yesterday, what sights do you like? What do you like to look at? Yesterday we went to a duck pond and there was chicks, like cute little chicks. I'll probably put a picture in here because they were super cute, right? That made my eyes feel happy. So acknowledging all of the things and talking about those things. So I want you to create either a list, it can just be a list, and there can be more than 10, by the way, chuck in loads. Or you could create a vision board, a goals board, a dream board, whatever you like to call it, where you cut and stick pictures and you write words and you draw, whatever it is. But I want you to create something where you acknowledge what actually makes you feel happy and recognize that you deserve the posh cups. You deserve nice things, you deserve love and respect. And if you're not getting that, then we need to help you to find ways to find those things. But it always starts from you believing that you deserve those things. It starts with you going, I'm going to make myself feel nice for me today. I'm going to do that thing because it feels good to me. I'm going to start a salsa class online no matter what people think because it feels good to me. I'm going to do a course. I'm going to go back to uni. I'm going to quit something. I'm going to break up my relationship. Whatever it is, when you know that it feels good to you and it aligns with who you are inside, it's always going to feel a good decision. Going back to that relationship example for me, I remember after I broke the relationship up and the carnage hit, believe me, the carnage hit, it all kicked off, right? And I remember sitting in the middle of a field, and even though there was absolute carnage around me and opinions and judgment, I had this inner sense of calm, that I still knew that I'd made the right decision. And that is because I had tuned in with myself and had been real. So we've got to get real with ourselves, guys. I hope that you've enjoyed this video. If you did, then drop me a subscribe, drop me a comment below, share this with your people, come and join my Facebook group. I also have online courses which you will enjoy as well. The Happy Me Project 1, 21 days of online self-development, videos, audios, workbooks that you can do, and you have that forever. Once you've got it, you can keep doing it again. The Happy Me Project 2, which is about self-belief, believing in yourself truly on the inside, and confidence on the outside. How do you portray a confident person? There's also some sleep meditations, some day meditations with some mindful colouring printouts, which might or might not be a bit sweary. I think they are. You'll enjoy those as well. Links are all below to those things. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I look forward to seeing your lists of happiness. Please feel free to tag me in those pictures as well on social media. Speak to you all soon. Peace.
Take me out to California. Take me out to California. I feel day.